Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for being here today. I do hope y'all doing well. Okay, so yes, I'm in my little look today. I just feel like being in my little look. But today we're going to be talking about a response that came out to the Hollywood Reporter article, because Meghan wants people to know that she is going to respond because it's not true. She wants people to think, okay, it's not true. Stop tripping. But it's like, now you're going to speak out? What about trying to do something about this when you were in the royal family instead of creating lies about how there were people having a witch hunt, or people who are making up things, and there's a campaign going against you? Like, you should have done something about this a long time ago, and now it's too late. It's too late. And that's what I'm going to be talking about, Meghan's response to the Hollywood Reporter article. So let's get into it. Meghan Markle insider breaks silence after brutal claim staff call her Duchess difficult. Now, let's just get this straight. Meghan staffers are not going to come out and say anything on behalf of Meghan unless she says you can give a statement on my behalf. We all know that, and also she would monitor what they were going to say, because the article is essentially about that kind of a person. And this article that is saying this is coming from Meghan. So this is how I look at it. This is her response to the Hollywood Reporter article. That's the only way that this would come out and be legit. Otherwise, yeah, you'd hear about the lawsuit, going after the staffer that spoke out against this article. But then if they're speaking out in a positive way, like, she's going to want that and she's going to approve it. So that's how we look at this, okay? The article. So Meghan Markle was defended by an insider who claimed that the latest allegations regarding her attitude towards her staff was a fabrication. So there's lies out there by somebody. There's lies by a whole lot of people. But she wants to make it sound like it's a lie or a fabrication by a staff. One person. But what she seems to forget is that this article by the Hollywood Reporter had 12 employees that they spoke with, some that are still with her and ex-employees. And we have the whole list of the professional staff people that have chosen no longer to work with her and Harry. So, she's trying to defend it, but in a way that is not holding any weight. Okay, so allegations regarding Meghan Markle's difficult attitude and reported mistreatment of her staff by a prestigious U.S. publication, the Bible of Hollywood, essentially, has described this as a fabrication and total nonsense. Total nonsense. It's nonsense. That article is just nonsense. No, it's not. Okay, the Hollywood Reporter, one of America's prestigious entertainment news sources, recently published a scathing report labeling Duchess of Sussex Duchess difficult, and claiming that her staff are allegedly terrified of her and belittling behavior towards them. We all remember the article. I did a video on it, and I actually spoke on Dan Wooten about it as well. So the outlet cited sources saying that Meghan marches around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders, with one source adding, "I've watched her reduce men to tears." Also included in the report were allegations regarding the Duchess's noisy tantrums and angry 5 a.m. emails that earned her the nickname Duchess Difficult. But now a report by GB News claims that insiders of Archwell Foundation have lashed out at the alleged claims and insisted that the Duchess Difficult moniker has never been used. Now, you know what I have to say? That's a lie. That is a lie. Because if it was never used, how would she know unless people are going up to her in her face and calling her Duchess Difficult? People that worked for her are more than likely saying this behind the scenes where she would not hear it. And the person saying that this never happened may have never heard it as well. But it doesn't mean it didn't happen. So you can't say, this claim has no validity to it, because that could have very well been the case. Now, they're both poor decision makers. They change their minds frequently. Harry is very, very charming person, no airs at all, but he is very much an enabler, and she's just terrible. Regarding Meghan's angry 5 a.m. emails, another source claimed, who hasn't seen an email when they can't sleep or are awake early? Okay, now I could almost give a pass on the 5 a.m. emails. If you're sending an email at 5 a.m., that's one thing. But if you're saying, okay, it's 5 a.m., we better get it done by 5:30, that's different. So you could almost go the other way with the 5 a.m. emails. I'll give her that pass, because maybe she just couldn't sleep and she sent an email. But I've never once ever gotten an email from either of them at that hour. And even if I did, the Duchess specifically notes in her email signature that everyone has different working day and not to feel obligated to respond outside of normal business hours. These source quotes don't make any sense. This is what the insider is saying. But clearly, if they're giving us information about what is in the email signature of Meghan, then she's trying to have an out to say, if you receive this email outside of business hours, don't blame me. So, then again, she's making it known to us how she addresses this situation, because she wants people to understand that she is not like this. But the problem that Meghan has is that several people have been spoken to and interviewed by The Hollywood Reporter. There was a bullying investigation about her in the United Kingdom when she was still a working member of the royal family. And so she has these negative things said about her, but there's no way she can overcome this negativity now by having a source come out and say it's not true, it's a fabrication, it's nonsense. That is just not going to fly now. You are essentially exposed. You're exposed and you can't get around it now. And you want people to see you in a way that they will never see you now. Because it's like you've already shown us your personality once in the UK or through the UK life, and now in the American Hollywood life. The only choice you have now is go live on a farm somewhere in a small town and try over again. You're not going to continue moving forward in Hollywood with this as your reputation. And this article coming out and saying this is not going to help cover up the magnitude of that report from The Hollywood Reporter. Now, the article also goes on to say that at the time of the publication of this article that I'm reading now, a Sussex source dismissed the claims and told the Sunday Express, quote, everyone is deeply concerned over the timing of the article because it was published just days before Harry's birthday, close quote. So, yeah, I don't know why that would matter. It's like the timing of this article is going to be bad. I don't care at any time you put it out. So that's the response from her team. Her team is not denying these allegations. They're calling the allegations nonsense and fabricated, but they're not denying the claims. And that too has to be observed. So if you're going to come out and deny it, that's one thing. But why are you trying to say that what they said was just, oh, that's nonsense, that's a fabrication, but not deny it? Because I think you can't deny something that you yourself know is true, and this is why it wasn't denied. That too I find very interesting. Now, something else came out about this report. What is interesting is that this Hollywood Reporter article came out just 3 months after staff Josh Kettler left. So I believe that some higher ups, people that had worked with Meghan, went to the Hollywood Reporter because they know that Meghan's ambition is in Hollywood. And so I think as a retaliation, they wanted to go to a very credible source to give their feedback on their experiences. And I think this is why the article came out in the Hollywood Reporter, because they were continuing to try to cause as much I don't want to say damage, but backlash to what Meghan did to them by going to the Hollywood Reporter. And there were enough people that could validate these claims, because we at this time had already had a bunch of people who had left working for Harry and Meghan. So it made for a good story. Now, the article had over a dozen sources, both former and current employees. That right there is key. So Meghan coming out and denying it, hey, you better be looking at who you have on your staff now, because not everybody is in the same boat as this one employee who tried to dismiss these claims on your behalf. There's still people that work for her who are under the thumb of this woman and her attitude towards employees. It's disgusting. And it's crazy. It's like when people become more powerful, they get more money, they want to belittle people. And I've seen it. I've seen very powerful people belittle people that are underneath them. I've seen it in interviews. I've seen it in documentary specials. I've always questioned people who are celebrities, and you can see how they speak with people that work for them as opposed to how they are with their friends or when they're talking to the media. There's like this Jekyll and Hyde effect, and they feel like it's okay to treat people who are receiving a paycheck from you to just treat them any old way. But that's just not okay to do. There are laws against that. And someone also made a very good point about the NDAs that people were signed. Well, what I saw about this, about the NDAs, is if you are accused, your boss, of bullying or doing things that are not lawful, and you have signed an NDA, that NDA no longer becomes lawful or binding when you have reports or allegations around unlawful behavior in the office place. So that right there is another side point to remember, that they can come out and speak now because the law was broken. It's unlawful to treat staff like this. And it came out that this person that said that Meghan or that the staff is terrified of Meghan is an actually current high-ranking employee. So that right there says a lot. This is somebody who is up there with Meghan making these allegations against her. The Sussexes didn't respond to the request for a comment from Access Hollywood. So when they did their piece on it, I had shared that on my Twitter that, yeah, they didn't come out to try to refute it. And I think that right there says a lot as well, because you know you can't. And I also heard that there are recordings of Meghan shouting at her staff, doing things that are showing proof of how she treats her staff. There is this report out there as well. And just to highlight again, 18 staff people resigned or left working for Harry and Meghan, and 9 of those people left since Harry and Meghan moved to the States. So it's about half and half. I mean, you got half the people leaving when you were in the royal family, then half leaving once you left the royal family. So your attitude, your mistreatment of employees is pretty consistent. And I think that right there says so much about people who want to be now humanitarians. And you have to almost question, well, what is it that you're trying to do by being a humanitarian when you can't even give common basic decency to the people that work for you and for your family? But you want us to believe that strangers on the street,
any stranger on the street,
people that you don't even know, you're out there trying to do good work on behalf of people that are strangers. That tells you a lot about their work as humanitarians. Let that sink in. Could it be that they're trying to do that work to enrich themselves? Could there be other ulterior motives if they're not doing it for the basic good of wanting to do it, because we've seen how they've treated their employees and their family? Well, then why are you trying to brand yourself as humanitarians when your actions don't look that way? And we mustn't forget the photographer who was requested to pitch for their work for the wedding told the Daily Beast it was, quote, "It was incredibly exciting to be asked to present for the wedding. I had to go to Kensington Palace, where I laid out several mood boards in what was then their office. Eventually, Meghan walked in. She took one look at what I had prepared and said in the meanest way possible, quote, No. Then she spun around on her heels and she walked out. I was left in tears. It was horrible. I mean, that quote right there in itself just it tells you everything you need to know. She just looked at the board and was like, no, and left. I mean, the ego on this woman, the audacity to do this to someone who is presenting their work to you. All you say is no and you leave. That's just lack of respect. But she wants to be the humanitarian, folks. She wants to be there on behalf of the voiceless, the vulnerable, that woman. Okay? Another contractor, a florist, told the Daily Beast she would never work for Meghan again. Says a lot, the testimony. The Daily Beast knows one former military man who worked happily in a close and personal capacity for Harry for several years, but left when his role changed, and he also had to serve Meghan, telling close friends that Meghan was the reason for his departure. This woman does not know how to act when she's handed money and power. She done just gone buck wild in the world thinking she can treat people any old kind of way because now she got some power. I mean, if that is not somebody that needs to have a smackdown, I don't know who should. I mean, tell me that is just not wrong to do. In 2018, Meghan and Harry's then communications secretary, Jason Knopf, wrote a complaint to Simon Case, Prince William's private secretary, and he said that he is very concerned that the Duchess was able to bully two PAs out of the household the past year. The treatment of this employee was totally unacceptable. The Duchess seems intent on having someone in her sights. We have had report after report from people who have witnessed unacceptable behavior towards this staff person. We all remember that from Jason Knopf. So that right there set the tone in the very beginning. And what did it do? It carried itself all the way over into America because she didn't learn a thing. She thought she could keep saying and doing what she did over in the United Kingdom. Meghan denied the bullying claims and accused the Times, who wrote of the complaint, of perpetuating a smear campaign on her because the story was published just days before Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, and we all remember when that happened as well. And it's almost like, you know, Meghan, just change your attitude. Just be a better person. There is no smear campaign out there, and it's very similar to what Harry talks about with the negative headlines from the press. No, the press is not out there digging up and making up stories on you. They are reporting on your behavior. You just need to learn how to not give them something to report on by changing your attitude, changing how you treat people. Just being a better person can give you better headlines. But the news, the people that are reporting on you are giving information about you. And you don't want to hear the negativity of it because you don't want to hear the truth. You want to divert. You want to, say it's for this reason. And it's always that self-reflection that a lot of times you need to look in on. And Harry and Meghan just can't seem to want to do that. And I think more so for Harry because he needs to see what his wife is doing and call it out. But he's not, because he is under her thumb as well. He is also receiving a lot of punishment, I think, from her. And he's taking the abuse. And this is why I believe Harry's on his way out, folks. He is on his way out. So as you can see, there has been a slight response to this article, and there's no justification for anything that they said. Meghan did not really deny it. She's coming out and trying to have a response to something that she can't really make better. And she didn't make better by not even apologizing. I mean, I think it would go a long way if she admitted to the bullying and apologized. But coming out and saying that it's a fabrication and that it's nonsense, it doesn't show that you have any remorse. It doesn't show that you've been busted and you're trying to look for redemption. It doesn't really even show that you want to apologize, be a better person for that matter. It shows the complete lack of feeling to do the right thing and to call it something that makes it frivolous and stupid and nonsense. And that just speaks so much to Meghan's behavior and who she is as a person. And in the long run, she will continue to lose because Hollywood is not going to tolerate it. They're definitely calling her out. And moving forward, Meghan and Harry, for that matter, they need to just pick up and go move somewhere else because they have already shown themselves that they are not to be liked or trusted or to be revered in any capacity. And what does that tell you about their future in Hollywood? It tells you they are done cooked. It is over, is what I say. All right. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.